So welcome everyone. Today's topic is live deal funding. We have the pleasure to have Susan and Amy with us tonight. So thank you very much, Amy, Susan, for making time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight.
Thank you for having us, Hugo.
So we're going to start by giving a little bit of an introduction about yourself. Tell us more how you got into real estate, and Susan into private money lending. Amy, how you got to know each other to begin with.
Okay, well, I'm a Pilates instructor. I own my own Pilates studio. And Amy happened to be one of my clients. She's been one of my clients for years. And as you do with your private clients, you start having discussions with them. And I found out that she loved real estate. And during that time, you were considering doing, she had gone to some of the 3 days, and she was considering joining Mastery. And then, we talk about that, and she joined Mastery, and she went through that whole program. And then she was so excited about learning all of this stuff that she came back and told me and said, you would be really super good at this. And I was like, no, I have, Pilates and real estate, it doesn't seem to meet up, but she bought me a 3-day ticket, and I came to the 3-day a year after she had gone. And then, I saw everybody speak, and it made perfect sense to me. And so I joined Mastery and went through the whole program, loved every second of it. She went through Mastery again with me. Mm-hmm. So that helped, having someone that had the background and then was there sitting by your side, being a support system. So we went through that whole thing together. It's been almost 3. It's been a little over 2. Okay. So late 2018 is when I got in.
Okay. Yeah, and I did the year before. So I went through the program in 2017. So yeah. So I'm Amy. I'm a compliance officer by day. I have 7 buy and hold rental properties, and I have a couple. I do have done like private money lending as well. So I had a few properties before I met Susan, but then once we kind of, formed our partnership, it really is kind of taken me to the next level. I've been able to use the private money funds to buy, rehab, and then refinance my properties. So the working relationship that we have, we're not only friends and I'm her private client, but I also we do deals together as well, so it's a really good working relationship.
Right, and even before I got into Mastery, she had property in Lansing. It's when Lansing was kind of new to Mastery, and she was asking if I could fund it, and I said yes. And so she's like, "Do you want to come see the property with me?" And I'm like, "Of course." And so we drove down and we drove all around Lansing, and we were like really nicely surprised at what, like a nice little bedroom community, kind of like from the 50s and 60s, And so that's when I met Farah. Some of you might know Farah. And she met us at the property. We went through it, and it was your very typical 3-bedroom, 1-bath, built in the 50s.
Yeah, 50s house.
Yeah. And so that sparked my interest even more, because it's just fun. It's fun to do that. It's fun to look at real estate and then see what it can turn into when you rehab it and then provide a beautiful home for someone. So I got into the private money lending my very first time with her before I got into Mastery. And then when I joined Mastery and graduated Mastery, I went forward to, putting some bids in on some houses, trying for a short sale, and nothing came through. And in the interim, I had a lot of people ask for private money lending because they knew that I had helped Amy. Mm-hmm. So then my niche kind of naturally fell into that category because I was super busy with my own business, etc. And so it was nice to do the private money lending, and I could still juggle that with my business.
Yeah. So want to talk about the numbers? We can talk about the numbers.
Yeah.
First deal.
Yeah.
So, the numbers that I look for, or I guess we look for rental properties is, to buy and then rehab, and then to be able to refinance the whole deal. So on that first property, I think I bought it for 80,000.
Yeah.
I put about 20,000 into it, and then it ended up appraising for 140,000. So pretty much Susan was able to get her full loan back. I don't have anything left in the property, and now it's renting for $1,500. So that's a pretty good cash flow, and it's really a win-win, right? So I'm winning, and the renters are winning because they have a great property. So that's kind of, I guess, the numbers that we look for when we're evaluating a property. It has to be good. For the private money lender, she has to have the confidence that I'm going to be able to execute, that I'm going to be able to get that property purchased and rehabbed in kind of that numbers window, so that I can give back her capital.
Perfect. So can we just walk through the numbers for this property? Is the first deal, was it in Lansing?
Yes, Lansing.
Okay.
Yeah. And it
Lansing.
was in 80.
Yeah.
What was the
Lansing.
purchase price?
80,000.
80,000. What was the rehab?
About 20,000.
20,000. What was the ARV?
140,000.
Okay. Now, how much did you borrow, Amy, from Susan?
Well, that one was,
Maybe you did borrow 100.
yeah, I think, yeah, I did borrow 100.
About 100. So pretty much purchase plus rehab.
Yep.
And then how long did it take you to do the rehab?
Too long. It took me 6 months, but that was my fault. So now it takes me 4 months, but that loan, it took just me 6 months.
So was this a 3-bedroom, 1-bath?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 3-bedroom, 1-bath.
Yeah.
Okay. What type of rehab did you do? Was it medium, light, or more in like on the?
No, it was medium. It was medium. We did new kitchen cabinets, new appliances, new floors. There was some light electrical that we needed to do. We had to put in smoke detectors, which I didn't realize. So yeah, I would say a medium rehab.
I should do some work to the bathroom.
Yeah,
That looked nice.
Yeah, redo, pretty up the bathroom, and then I think we also had to replace, new garage door. That's right.
New
Yeah.
garage door.
And where did you find the property?
Actually, it was from a wholesaler.
Wholesaler, awesome. And then, so when you saw the property and then you saw that you had, the numbers would make sense, how did you present the deal to Susan to get it funded?
So this was our first deal together. So, and I honestly had never worked with a private money lender before. So we kind of just both jumped in with both feet. So because she knew me and because we had the relationship as, Pilates instructor, she kind of knew what I was doing. We had talked about it. So it was a pretty easy conversation. And she was kind of looking to invest in something, either the stock market, or she was looking to kind of grow her net worth. So I just said, come, hey, I have this potential to buy a property. Why don't you come down and look at the property with me? So one Saturday morning or afternoon, we jumped in the car and drove to Lansing and looked at the property. So we both never been to Lansing before. It was a whole new experience. So we kind of drove to town and looked at the house. So it was great.
That's pretty good. And then, so it took you 6 months for the rehab. Did you say that it could have taken less time? What was the holdback?
Yeah. So it probably should have taken me 4 months. I was trying to be a general contractor and work a full-time job all at the same time. And I lived kind of far away from Lansing. So that was not smart on my part. I should have let the professionals handle it and hired a general contractor, and they could have gotten the job done for me right away. But I wanted to be a do-it-yourselfer, and I learned my lesson. Sometimes you need to not be a do-it-yourselfer.
Yeah, but that's another good learning experience here,
right,
to present to the team here, because you're always working with the numbers, right? You're
Yeah.
thinking, okay, if I do it myself, I can save so much money.
Yeah.
But then if it takes a long time, then she's still paying me monthly interest. She's still paying the electric bill, the gas bill, the taxes, the water,
Right.
you know, any other kind of like maintenance, if it's snow removal or mowing the lawn, or those additional months, right? So when you go through that process and she's like, okay, I kind of learned, I think that it'll just be, it'll pay off in the long run if I just hire it out and get it done.
Right. Now, Susan, what was your thinking? Because you're lending the money and you want to make sure that your investment is secure. So what were you thinking as far as the numbers, the analysis? What was in your mind? What was your thinking process, number-wise?
Well, I was more, again, because it was our first deal and we had established a friendship and I knew what kind of integrity she has and her honesty and, you know, how she operates. I was more like, okay, she said, this is what the purchase price is going to be. I'll need some of the rehab, right? And so I was full on with it. And she's like, you know, I can pay you back because she had reserves, right? So let's say the house didn't appraise out and, you know, you have to, you know, then refi out at 75%. She had reserves in her personal account that she had that she assured me that she could pay me back with in full. It's just that she wanted to use other people's money. She didn't want to have to use her own. And so I was okay with all of it, you know, and then you write up the paperwork that there was a promissory note, a mortgage, assignments of rents and leases, and all the paperwork accompanying it. So I was all covered. It was an easy decision for me.
Okay, personal credit. That you brought up a great point. So there are primarily three documents, right? The promissory note, the mortgage is the one that you record because you're going to have first position lien on the property. Assignment of rents should, let's say, Amy default in the mortgage, you're going to take over the rents. And then finally, a personal guarantee document.
Yes,
okay.
yes, exactly.
Perfect. So, friends, please take a note. And then, Amy, what was your thinking of as far as the numbers? Because you're borrowing not only the purchase price, but also the rehab. On the back end, you were expecting to appraise at 140 or perhaps a little bit more?
I was expecting 140. Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at, because I knew that going in because we were able to pull the comparison houses in the area, like what had sold recently. And so another, I guess, trick is I looked at the comparisons that has sold at the 140 price, and I was trying to make my rehab be about as comparable to those houses. So when the appraiser came in, you know, I was able to show them the comps of houses on the same block even that had sold at the 140, like 143 price range. So that was a pretty easy sell too, because I made the house look similar to the other ones on the block that had sold at that price.
Perfect. And friends, I want to point out that Amy and Susan have mentioned in the presentation, they're looking at to having 25% equity on the back end. Okay, so when you refinance, you're able to pay off the outstanding debt. So let's just quickly check out the numbers.
Yeah, because she would have pulled out.
So 75% of 140, it's, I believe, 105.
Yes.
Right? So that means that Amy is going to end up with 25% equity on the back end. So when she does a refinance, guess what? Not only is she going to be able to pay Susan, but the $5,000 probably will cover some of the carrying costs, such as insurance, taxes, utilities. So she'll probably break even or may walk away with very little cash, but at least she's going to have zero money in the deal. So is that what you're always looking for, Amy, to have at least a 25% equity when you analyze the deals?
Yes. Yeah, I look for 25% equity.
Okay. Now, on this deal, once you finish the rehab that it took 6 months, then did you decide to flip, rent? I mean, I understand that you listed for 1,500, but what was your decision process to go with buy and hold versus a flip?
Yeah, so I guess I kind of view myself as a buy and hold investor. I really don't get into flipping. There's nothing wrong with flipping. It's just more, I guess, my personal preference. I mean, I'm looking for long-term wealth. I'm honestly looking to retire. So for me and my family, it's better for me to have income-producing properties for my long-term strategy.
Great thinking, because in real estate, that's just a way to build wealth through rentals, owning rentals, leverage from other people's money, other people's time, and obtain obviously passive income. So now, how much do you rent the property for? 1,500?
1,500, yes.
Okay, 1,500. And then what's your principal, interest, tax, and insurance on this? We just want to find out what your positive cash flow is on this.
Yeah. Hold on. Ask Susan. You talk. I'm looking it up.
Yeah, she's looking it up. Yeah, I think she started cash flowing on that one about $400 or $500 right away.
400 to 500.
Yeah. And another thing that we were just discussing this evening before the meeting was because interest rates are so low, she refied out.
Right.
And so now she's at an even lower rate. So now it's cash flowing even better.
Yeah, it's about $400. It's $400 cash flow, and the principal and interest is about $1,100.
Okay, so you're cash flowing 400. Well, that's
Yeah. Amazing.
Amy, so what's your minimum cash flow that you're looking when you are doing a buy and hold?
Well, it depends. It's usually between 350 and 400. It kind of depends on the area. If it's a good area and I'm cash flowing a little less, I'm okay with that just because I know that there's going to be kind of appreciation in the market. And I'm right now in my portfolio, I'm looking to diversify a little bit more and get into, different areas. So, but yeah, usually around 400 is what I look for cash flow.
She'll take more.
Okay.
You know what? It's like she'll go with properties that will make that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. How many more deals have you funded, Susan, for Amy after the Lansing property?
3 altogether.
3 altogether. Yeah.
3 altogether, and I think I've altogether within Mastery, I've done like 24, 25 loans.
Whoa, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have any outstanding loans right now?
Yeah, I have about 3 loans going right now. I have another one that's coming up at the end of February, so then I'll have 4. I've had as many as 6 out at a time.
Whoa, that's amazing. So, Susan, do you lend to people outside Mastery?
No, absolutely not. And the reason that I don't is because A, I don't have that trust factor, and B, people that go through Mastery speak the same language. They've had the same education. So I know what they're talking about when they're presenting a deal to me, and I don't have to look at it and have any blind spots. And plus, it's like talking to your brother and sister. If somebody's in Mastery and you create that relationship with them, you feel free to reach out and be like, okay, what's this? And we got to go see the property, or have you done this? Or, have you gotten a survey? Have you done this? Blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I stick within Mastery because there's enough business in Mastery, and we all speak the same language.
That makes sense. And what are the things that you're looking when Mastery students present deals to you?
Well, I look at a lot of different things. I want to make sure that they're sound, right? That that they have some reserves and that they have good credit. And, because I want to know that they can pay me back. and I want them to fill out what in Mastery would be called the 1-pager or the 3-pager, which is all the information on the property, like what area is it in? Does it have a garage? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to buy and hold? Are you going to flip? Is it a 3-1? Are you going to make it a 3-2? You got to provide me all the comps to this, and then I get the comps, and then I have to check and make sure that their data is accurate. So they have to turn all this information into me, and then I go over it and make sure that what they've supplied to me is accurate information and that the numbers make sense. Because I want to make sure that I do my due diligence because I want my money back, right? Absolutely. Do you require an inspection on the property? The written report? Yes, every single person that I've ever given a loan to, they want an inspection on the property. And it could be a walk and talk by, an inspector like George does walk and talks. And so I've never had anybody that doesn't go in and get, for their own personal protection, have an inspector from Mastery come out and take a look at the property because they're going to give you the straight scoop. Right. Also something you become the beneficiary in the insurance, right? Something very important that they have you as the beneficiary. Yes, I am. Yes. Are there certain areas that you focus or you like to lend on, or it doesn't really matter? It's just asset-based, depending on where the deal is, if it makes sense. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's just, where if the numbers work, because you'll often hear the term numbers don't lie, right? So if the numbers work, then it's pretty solid. And, the investor has to be a solid individual too. And so I'll look at their experience, see what their background is. And then again, have I done deals with this person before? Like, Amy, I had a great relationship with, so that was kind of almost a no-brainer. And then other people that I've done loans with, if they come up to me and they're like, I want to, do another loan, because I've worked with them and they have a history with me, it'll be an easier process. Okay. Now, if there's somebody that you don't know that well, it's sort of like a newbie, doesn't have much experience, even though they've gone through the Mastery coaching, how would you approach that? Well, I actually sit down and interview them, right? So I talk with them, and then I not only interview them, I then go into Mastery and ask the people in Mastery if they've dealt with them and what they think about them. Like I might go to Andrew, I might go to Rahul, I might even go to Lori, and I might talk with them to get their feel for these people because they've had more interaction with them than I have if they're new. So I'll go kind of around the outside and ask that way too, because I have lent to brand new people and I've had great luck with it as well. So it's not that I would completely turn away from that, but it's a deeper dive, so to speak. Perfect. And then what are the typical terms on the loan? Mastery terms, I try to stick with Mastery terms, which is 12% and 2 points. And that's for a term of 4 months. And 4 months is a typical turnaround for a buy and hold property. And oftentimes a private money lender will want to private money lend on buy and holds more often because they're a little bit safer than flips. Because depending on how the market is, flips can sit there for a long time, right? You don't know for sure, how long that property is going to sit on the market, depending on what the market's doing. Nowadays, they'll probably fly off the shelf because there's not a lot of inventory out there, but it has to be priced right. So in 4 months, you can turn around a buy and hold. A flip might take a little bit longer. But then after the 4 month part, in the paperwork, you'll say this loan can be extended to a 6 month date, but there's 2 more points that are due. And the reason that private money lenders request that and should request that is because other people are in line to get the money and they need your help too. And if you have all your money out for an extended period of time, then you can't give it to somebody else so they can, improve their portfolio. And another thing that happens is when you do have those terms with with investors, they have a tendency to follow that. So if you give them 6 months, they'll take 6 months. If you give them 4 months, they'll take 4 months. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That sense of urgency that, I've got to do something else. I'm going to pay thousands.
Yes, exactly.
So what advice would you give to newbies investors who are trying to get, their hands into private money lending?
I would say make sure that you have your credit score available that you can show, and that you have reserves so you can prove reserves. And that, like, oftentimes a new person might come and they have a construction background. So they might be able to go into that property and they're like, well, listen, this is what we do for a living. I own my own construction firm. Well, you have a little bit more confidence in them because their costs are going to be lower and they can get things done a lot quicker, and they know how to source items. So for them, it'll be a little bit easier, and the process goes a little bit smoother. So if somebody's new and they're into construction, or they've teamed up with somebody who is a contractor, that's a good place to start. So make sure you have reserves, you have your paperwork filled out, and that you can prove your credit score, because if you don't pay other people off, you're not going to pay us off.
Absolutely. What about, would you require scope of work from a GC?
Yeah, yes. The more information, the better. And they'd have to do a survey on the property and make sure that, that a survey is there to make sure that it's what it is supposed to be and there's no problems.
Absolutely. Amy, what would you recommend to new investors who are trying to, get funded?
Network, go to your local Rehab meetings, come to the 3-day, be where other investors and private money lenders are. Talk to your friends. I mean, the relationship from Susan and I, she wasn't an investor, she wasn't a private money lender, but just our conversations got her to that place. So you might have a lot of friends and or family that you already know who want to make 12% in 2 points. I mean, that's more than she's making in the stock market. So it can be a very attractive deal for them. I mean, especially with all the paperwork too. So, talk about what you're doing, talk about your interest in investing, and hang out, with other investors and private money lenders. And I think that's a great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Julian is asking a question: how does the monthly payments look like? So I'm going to rephrase the question to you, Susan, because there are 2 ways. They either pay you on a monthly basis, just the interest on the loan, or they wait until they refinance and they pay you a lump sum for interest. So which way do you work?
I work monthly.
Monthly.
Because I like the income. This is like this isn't a hobby to me. This is a business, and right. So that's income that I use in my life, right? So I like to get that monthly payment. Now there are other people that do agree to having it all at the end. I like to see that the borrower and the investor can be on time and prove to me that they can follow the rules and the structure. That's important to me as a private money lender. How do you feel?
Absolutely.
I feel like that has some skin in the game, and so monthly payments, I require that too as a private money lender.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about reserves and FICO, what are you looking for? Like FICO score and reserves?
Yeah, like if they've got, it all depends on the size of the deal, right? If they have a good bargain, like 80 grand, if they've got enough to cover like the interest and the points for a 4-month or a 6-month term, I kind of want that minimum. And if they have more, that's great. But I've got to make sure that they've can pay the interest and the points. And they've got reserves for that. It's not like they have to use that for their daily living. And then FICA would be probably 650 and above.
Yeah.
Great. Friends, there's another question from Timothy. When do you lend that? When you lend out money, will the loan be based on ARV or the property's current value?
The loan is the purchase price and possibly the rehab. So it's not based on ARV. That you've got to, your loan and your rehab amount have got to be less than the ARV.
Right. So they're going to be looking on the back end to have at least a 25% equity so that you're able to refinance once you rent out the property. Because lenders are going to want to have you at least 25 to 30% equity after the refinance. So you've got to make sure that the 75% will pay off both, whatever you borrow for the purchase and the rehab.
Exactly, and you'll see in Amy's deal how that worked out perfectly, because it was $100,000 loan. It appraised out for 140, 143, and she got 105 on the refi.
Absolutely. So that made just perfect sense.
Yeah, it worked out really, really well.
Right.
And Amy she lends out of her IRA. So she's done some loans that way that have benefited her retirement account.
Yeah, so I went through my IRA, so that's great for me. So I had a previous job where I had IRA funds, and I ended up, after I left that job and moved someplace else, rolled the funds into a self-directed IRA. So that's how I lend. So I lend kind of the same way as Susan. I look for the same things. It's just done within my IRA. So instead of me getting the checks, it goes to my IRA account. So that's tax deferred. So really my retirement is growing at 12%, which, you know, I wouldn't be able to do anyplace else. So that's how I private money lend is through my IRA. So that might be an option for people who have a 401k account that maybe just be sitting there, you know, after you've left a company.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you're starting to do also private money lending, Amy,
Yes.
out of your
Yeah.
pension plan.
Mm-hmm.
What's like your process on that? What's like from the time that somebody asks for a loan in your IRA, is there like a 5-day lead time?
Yeah. There's usually, we require all the same paperwork, you know, as Susan. So the mortgage, the personal guarantee, the promissory note, the assignment of rents. The only difference is that it has to go through the IRA company. So there's an extra step where someone on the other end is looking through the paperwork, making sure that it's acceptable. So there usually is about a 3 to 5 day lead time that the IRA company needs to know, and then they just wire the funds from the IRA account to the title company. So there is a couple other steps, but also I like that second look, right? So I have another team looking over the paperwork and the deal just to make sure that my money is secure.
Perfect. There's another question by Timothy. Are there any restrictions on the type of properties that you lend on?
I personally like properties that are in, maybe the ARV is from 150 to maybe 300 grand. I don't like, and let's say the loans might be anywhere from 80 to 175,000. That's about the top. I think 1 or 2 times I've loaned out 200 grand, but that was with a very well-seasoned investor who I'd done several loans with already. But the loans have got to stay in that parameter, because that way I minimize my risk. So I can give, like, let's say 5 people $100,000 loans, and it's, you know, then spread out amongst 5 people. And I don't have to put all my money in one huge project. And what if something goes wrong with that one project, right?
Absolutely. You diversify your risk, and also for the investors, right? That's just the sweet spot to maximize your profits and minimize your risk when you buy properties under 200,000.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. How do you feel about that? I'm around like the 100, 115 price range, but I'm the same way. I usually I like single family homes rather than condos. Just really, because of not being with an association, I feel that makes it a little bit cleaner. I typically lend on buy and holds rather than flips, but that's just usually my personal preference.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any questions on the line for Amy or Susan?
Do we see any? Let's see. I think you've asked, I think you've seen all these questions in there.
Yeah, I think so far we covered all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just quickly summarize, friends. Oh, there's, sorry, what is the mastery? Oh, okay. Sam, we're going to give you a free ticket to the 3-day event organized by Andrew Holmes that is coming up in about a month. So Phil, can you please make a note to give Sam a free ticket? So an incredible 3-day event where you're going to learn fix and flip, wholesaling, buy and hold, and they're going to tell you more about mastery. It's a coaching program. Awesome. So let's just quickly summarize what we talked about today. Okay. So private money lending, how do you get funded? Okay. It's relationship based, as you saw from Amy and Susan. It's who you know, right? It's you have to keep in touch. You have to get to know each other so that they trust you. You also have, on top of the relationship, you have to have good credit, reserves to at least be able to pay the points, the interest when you borrow money. And obviously, you need a great deal, okay? What we mean by a great deal is once you purchase and rehab, the difference between the ARV and the all-in, you have to end up with at least 25% equity. Just an easy example, buy it for 50, rehab for, buy it for 100, rehab 50, all-in 150. It's got a price for at least 200 or more. You need that 25% equity on the back end to be able to pay off the balance from the private money lender. Okay, that's just a rule of thumb that you must meet, otherwise you won't get funding. Okay, again, they prefer right now to lend on rentals. Flips are riskier, but right now, due to the shortage of inventory, they're just gonna fly. So right now, whichever strategy you take on, most likely, if the deal makes sense, number-wise, you're gonna get funded, okay, regardless of your exit strategy. As far as the terms for the loan, you're looking at 12% interest rate, 2 points upfront origination when you close on the property, and a 4-month term, which could be renewed for an additional 2 points. Make sure that you do your due diligence on the property. So you're gonna need to present comps, you're gonna need to present scope of work, survey, inspection, okay? When you provide all these information, you're guaranteed that you're gonna mitigate your private money lender's risks, okay? And you're gonna need to sign a couple of documents. The 3 most important documents are the promissory note, the mortgage, which is going to get recorded, and the personal guarantee. So the private money lender is going to have a first position on the lien. They're going to take over the rents should the investor not pay, and they're going to be the beneficiary on the insurance. Should something happen to the property, the insurance will pay out the private money lender. And then, as advice to everyone, relationships are so critical. You are in the people's business, okay? The byproduct is the property, but you are in the people's business. And today, there's more money to be lent than deals to get funded. So if there's something that you've got to focus on is finding great deals. And these deals are going to come from primarily off market, okay? As Amy mentioned, wholesalers, okay? That is why ChicagoDealVault has put together a team. It's called the Wholesale Inner Circle. We have 80 people right now in that team. We're branching off now. We're starting this week the cash flow inner circle for people, investors who are interested in doing flips and rentals. So we're gonna share our resources, including private money lenders who are willing to lend outside of mastery. Okay, so super powerful. If you're interested in being part of the cash flow inner circle or the wholesale inner circle, Phil, can you please post the link for the cash flow inner circle and the wholesale inner circle? And I want to give Susan and Amy a big thank you for your time. It was awesome seeing you again. I appreciate your time, your knowledge, your wisdom that you share with our audience tonight.
Thank you, Hugo. Thanks for having us. Thanks, everyone. I hope you have a great night.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Susan. And congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
Stay warm.
You too, Hugo. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So friends, I'm going to remain on the line for a couple of minutes. If you have any further questions, I'll be able to help you answer any questions. But it was super powerful to have Amy and Susan with us tonight. I just love the way they presented the deal, how it got funded, the story, how they got to know each other. And we learned a lot from them. They are doing amazing in real estate, so many lessons to be learned from them. Are there any questions? Okay, so Luis, oh, you filled out the form. Oh, that's okay. So we have your information, so we're gonna let you know when the kickoff meeting for the cash flow is, which is gonna be this coming week. Okay. So let me share my screen and quickly show you what we're doing with the wholesale inner circle, if you're not familiar with it. So it's going to be more of a hands-on approach where you have a support network, you have a mentor, you're going to have a team lead. Okay, so this is for wholesaling and cash flow. If you're thinking about doing flips and rentals, so I'm going to be leading this group. We're going to be doing weekly teaching and QA calls. We're going to focus on training. We have come up with a 10-week training program. We're going to be doing deal reviews. You are going to have access to an exclusive Facebook group. These are some of our advisors: Dan Carlton, Frank, Montreux, Andrew, Rahul, Joe Mueller. And for the wholesaling team, we have put together 6 modules. This team has already started, but you can join anytime. Okay, so we have recordings for every module. Super powerful. We're focusing on you becoming the best acquisition individual, meaning to get properties on the contract. And we're gonna have the infrastructure, the platform to help you with the disposition, meaning assigning the rights of the contract to an end buyer. So a lot of emphasis on lead generation and talking to sellers. Okay, super cool and powerful. And for the cash flow, it's pretty much the same concept, except that in here we're going to be talking about it's a 10-week module. Okay, from essentials to area selection, finding deals. Let me show you here the outline: deal analysis, contracts, funding, which obviously we don't talk in wholesale because you're not buying the property. Only when you fix or buy and hold, you talk about, we're going to talk about funding extensively and make private money lending available to you. Closing the deal, the rehab, property management, and then building a rental empire, how to build 0 to 30 properties in the next 2 years. Okay, so that's going to be the focus. Please make sure that you sign up for these. It's super powerful. When you sign up for these, it's $59 a month. If you do the 6-month commitment, it's $287. So you get a 20% off. Are there any questions?